You
Strict wording, start it, thank you.
So move to item 6, planning application reference number APP 20251732, full planning permission for erection of a dwelling house at land at Botany Views at Fergus Peterhead. Can I welcome Sally Wood, Senior Planner, to present this report? Thank you, Sally.
Sorry, I'm just trying to bring the PowerPoint presentation up. There we go. Sorry.
Oh, my screen hasn't moved on.
So just to recap, this application seeks full planning permission for a single dwelling house at land at Botany View, St Fergus, which is located at the northern edge of the settlement. And members will recall that this application was deferred on the 12th of May this year to allow further information to be submitted on surface water drainage, development obligations, and biodiversity enhancement. That additional information has now been provided and assessed. In terms of the surface water drainage, the revised details now show 2 on-site soakaways supported by percolation testing, which now removes reliance on any of the public system. And officers are satisfied that the drainage solution is now technically viable and policy compliant. In terms of biodiversity, a report has been submitted demonstrating compliance with the current planning advice and policies. And the proposal achieves the required enhancement through new mixed hedging and additional planting, which delivers a net biodiversity gain. And in respect of the developer obligations, and that has too now been agreed in principle as well. So that addresses that outstanding previous matter as well. There are no objections from key consultees, and there are no public representations to the application. Principle of development, as expressed before, is acceptable. It is a gap site within the settlement of St Fergus. But the main issue is in relation to the design scale and character and the landscape. The proposal is for a large contemporary 3-storey dwelling house. And it is considered to be out of keeping with the surrounding area, which is characterised by sort of largely single-storey bungalow-style homes with much more traditional forms in terms of roof pitches and design and materials. But due to the scale, height, and prominent gateway location, this would appear visually dominant and intrusive, particularly in wider views from the A90 and on the northern approach into the village. And the elevated and sloping site increases that visibility too, and the proposal will have an unacceptable impact on the landscape and the edge of the settlement. But there are no issues regarding access, servicing, or residential amenity. The biodiversity and drainage matters have now been satisfactorily addressed. While some technical matters that were sort of deferred for have been largely resolved, the application remains contrary to policy due to the design scale and landscape impact for the reasons cited in section 10 of the committee report. And it is therefore recommended for refusal for the 2 reasons cited, respectively failure to respect local character and settlement pattern and adverse visual and landscape impact. Thank you.
So before we go on to consider this application further, can I confirm that members are satisfied they have received all the necessary information and feel able to participate in the determination of the application?
I'm going to ask a question.
So do we have any questions for Sally? So Councillor Crosick.
Thanks. It's just on the second reason for refusal for a bit of sort of clarity. The application just failed to demonstrate compliance with policy to landscape or upper provincial local development plan. Would not be an unacceptable impact in the surrounding landscape by virtue of the scale, mass, and design of the proposed development. In what ways can an applicant prove for sure that it wouldn't be in comparison to? I don't believe, was there any objections to this from neighbours or anything that had concerns over the impact.
I will try again. Councillor Crowson, please.
Thanks, I'll try and refuse with first question a bit. So looking at a second reason for refusal to do the unacceptable impact on the surrounding landscape. Given there's no objections from anybody in the local area that would have been notified of this, how does an applicant then go about proving that it's going to have no unacceptable impact on the surrounding landscape?
An application must be determined in respect of the development plan, NPF4 and local development plan, and all other relevant sort of planning advice, planning guidance. So there's advice and guidance issued by the Scottish Government. And same with the council and also other bodies like Architecture and Design Scotland. I guess, you know, even having representations or no representations is a material consideration, but it's not the only consideration. What you just asked me is, how does somebody demonstrate that there's no unacceptable impact? That's really how they do that, through the planning application, in terms of the information that they wish to submit in order to inform the planning service and the decision makers. So an example could be a street scene, it could be a landscape visual impact. But typically we assess application based on our observations and you know, sort of experience, the sort of through the CPD and through all the guidance that's available in terms of making an assessment on design, siting and layout. Does that help?
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you. Members, any further questions or queries for Sally?
This will have the thing, I don't know how many deals
Oh.
this is.
Loading latest updates on the way to make us send. Yeah, there's definitely ongoing problems. I've got Outlook messages coming up as well.
I can still hear at the moment.
Yes, so continue since Leon's in the councillor when he's in the room.
I'm happy, I'm just.
You're happy?
know
Thank you.
that it was.
Thank you,
Ah,
councillor. Okay, we will now move on to debate the application before we consider any motions. Are there any comments, views that members wish to make for us to consider, please?
Yeah, my hand is up,
Oh,
but I guess
sorry,
it's not
councillor
correct.
James, no, nothing's registered.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. Obviously, it's the second time the application's come across the committee. I'm glad that we've got the elements resolved in the intervening period. So really, we're just looking at the landscape and character impacts of this. Now, really, I mean, we know that there are large dwelling houses adjacent to this site. We know that they are of similar character and scale and what is currently proposed. And so whilst if the wider street, except that there are ones where to a few, it's a 2 stories, I think we'd have to consider it that localized character of those larger properties that are on that end of the street. So I think that, coupled with you know, the large intervening landscape area, the protected P1 area between the site and the A90, which gives opportunity for mitigation. Mitigation is something, right? I would argue, I think gives us sufficient to consider this in a relatively positive light. I mean, designs obviously can be subjective. I think, given you know, this is what the application submitted before us, I think clearly this is what the applicant wants, and it's very reflective of what's locally around it. So I'm looking at no real issues, but welcome other thoughts if there is. Thanks.
Members,
I'm leaving because I can't even.
sorry,
Hi,
councillor McVinney.
Sorry. I just want to say I'm very much in agreement with Councillor James. I don't actually think it will look out of place, given the surroundings around it. We're all probably aware of the other properties, and I haven't seen the map on the PowerPoint point when it's showing you the heights comparison. There just doesn't seem to be that much between that and the house next door to it, and I generally can't see why it would build a character for that specific spot just because of the surrounding properties.
Thank you. And on general comments as well, the surrounding properties are quite large and unusual. Local members are very familiar with St Fergus, very familiar with the streetscape. So I agree with my fellow councillors' comments. So I take my hand down. Just at this point, I'm just gonna ask, if any members happy that the connection to the meeting has been sufficiently stable and has not compromised your access to information? Everyone content to continue?
Yes. Yeah.
Could I just
Ah.
ask, is everyone back in? Is that you back in?
Yep, you're
Councillor
back.
Buchan, Fiona?
You're
Yeah.
back.
Yes, I'm back in.
Those of us that have that phones could actually dial in and Teams and disconnect with the internet, and we think of help with bandwidth.
Right, let's see.
I think we're back.
If we're back, apologies everyone, the whole authority seems to be having issues. Sure, it's not just behind area committee.
We're still recording.
Michael,
So apologies, councillor Buchan, can we try you again?
Yes, I hear you fine.
Thank you. Do you want to come in, councillor Buchan?
No, I don't.
No, okay, thank you. Is that Alan Wood that was what? Alan, were you looking to come in?
My apologies. I was misreading a photograph. That was my message and it was an error. Sorry, Chair.
Okay, thank you very much for that's very clear at the moment. Okay, so I'm hearing no comments or views. Do we have a motion coming forward, please? Councillor James.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. I think we've already set out like my general opinion in the discussion, but accept what's kind of written in the report in the sense that it's considered, but the plan service considers it to be applicable. However, I think given the neighbouring properties, the scale of neighbouring properties, the character of the neighbouring properties, and in fact the design that is materialising at the end of that street, I really do think that the property that we're seeing before us is in keeping with that. It's a similar style, similar scale to that area. So really I'll be moving as a departure that we look to approve this for that basis, and along with the fact that we have that large intervening space of protected land between the site and the A90 that offers that potential to mitigate the impact of that area, particularly from that A90 north the planning officer mentioned. I really do think there's sufficient there to justify this as being a departure for policy and to grant permission. So I'll be moving that we delegate plan on that basis. Thank you.
So Fiona, can you confirm that you're content?
I'm content with that, Chair, that Councillor James is saying that it wouldn't have an adverse impact. The surrounding properties are similar, and that I can just confirm it was a delegated grant with the usual conditions that you were seeking, Councillor James.
Yeah, I'm happy to delegate on that basis to an appropriate suite of conditions. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm excuse me, put my teeth back in. I'm happy with that, Chair.
Okay, thank you very much. Councillor McWhinney, please.
I'd just like to second councillor James's motion for all the same reasons.
Okay, thank you very much. Sally, sorry.
can I just seek
Your hand's
confirmation?
not coming up.
Can I seek confirmation of the developer obligations payment as well? So it'd be delegate grant for the conditions and the developer obligation payment.
absolutely, we include that. Thanks, Alan.
Okay, thank you very much. Seem content with that. So the recommendation would be a delegated grant, full planning permission for the reasons stated, including developer obs. Are we content with that, Fiona?
Yes, thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, members. Thank you very much, Sally. Okay, hopefully no further glitches and we can move to item 7. So Environment and Infrastructure Services Performance Report Q3, Q4. Can I welcome Alan Wood, Director of Environment and Infrastructure Services, to present his report. Apologies, Alan, with the glitches and the timing. If you'd like to come in.
Can I possibly interrupt and just say I've still got connection issues? That's why I had to put my hand up.
Okay.
I'm sending messages and they're just not getting through, so it may be affecting wider. Sorry, I shouldn't interrupt. But it's just to make you aware. Thank you.
Thank you, Sally.
So, yeah, so IT is coming back saying there is still lots of issues that are trying to get sorted out within Buchan House. I have messaged Alan Wood again, but it doesn't appear to be. So we've got 2 IT representatives trying to assist us. But then there are problems that
Do we want to
Let's go
break
into
till
that.
12?
Next item.
Well,
they're saying lots of issues trying to get sorted.
so we have got Ollie with us.
I think,
Chair,
Alan
seeing Alan Wood in the meeting now.
yeah.
Oh, okay. So I'll start again. We'll move to item 7, Environment and Infrastructure Services Performance Report, Q3, Q4. Can I welcome Alan Wood, Director of Environment and Infrastructure Services, to present this report, please? Thank you, Alan. Apologies that we had some issues.
Chair, committee, good morning. Not a problem at all. Thanks for being accommodating as well. Chair, I'll just take you through the report as you've got it there. Very pleased to give you the update on the latest performance information position for my directorate for Buchan, which covers Q3 and Q4 of the last financial year. The report provides an overview of the performance across the year and highlights how services have contributed to the delivery of the council plan priorities within this area. Overall, I'm pleased to say that performance across the Buchan area remains strong, with all reported indicators currently achieving their target levels and no areas requiring formal intervention. I'm conscious it's a very rare occasion where I say 10 indicators are currently showing as green. None of the words there are complacent, because I'm very conscious as well that your mailboxes will be full of various items, but in terms of the performance indicators here, they're all currently showing as positive. If I break it down across the council priorities, firstly, in terms of the sustainable economy, performance remains strong across planning and regulatory services. Encouraging to see that planning application determination times there continue to meet the target, with non-householder applications with an average of 8.2 weeks against a target of 10, and householder applications with 6.8 weeks against a still a challenging target, but 7 weeks. So we're very pleased with that. In terms of connected communities, performance continues to be strong with street lighting faults. And again, I'm conscious I haven't always been able to say that to committee, but again, we're currently within the target timescales there. It is encouraging that this level of performance has been maintained for a number of quarters now, despite some of the ongoing staffing pressures, which does include one unfilled vacancy for an electrician. But the efforts of the teams in terms of prioritization is seen as positive in terms of this indicator. And thirdly, under living well locally, performance continues to be positive generally. But homelessness resolution times have improved from just over 77 days down to 71 days from Q3 to Q4. 71 still a big number, but the trend is still improving. We're still below the target and indeed the Aberdeenshire average. Tenant arrears are also remaining comfortably below target. They are reducing from 2.7 in Q3 down to 2.3% in Q4. And void rent loss is a similar trend as well, all positive. Together, these results demonstrate strong housing performance across the area and hopefully I would say positive outcomes for our local residents as well. So, in summary, taken as a whole, the report presents a positive picture of service delivery across Buchan. Performance has remained strong across all 3 council plan priorities, with all reported indicators currently at green. I am conscious there is more to do, but in terms of today, Chair, a positive position. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Members, comments, questions, please? Good to see green indicators. So, Alan, I see no indications.
Okay.
No indications. So thank you very much for your report. So the recommendation is 1.2. The committee is recommended to 1.2.1. Consider and comment on progress made in relation to environment infrastructure services performance indicators relating to the Buchan area. Thank you very much, Alan.
Perfect, Chair. Thank you. Appreciate you accommodating me with time as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Members, item 8, Landscape Services Works Programme 26-27. We'll keep going while the going's good. Can I welcome Ollie Deeming, Principal Officer, Landscape Services, and John Sibbert, Landscape Services Officer, to present this report, please. Welcome to you both.
Thank you, Chair and members. Good morning. I'm Oliver Deeming, Principal Landscape Officer for Buchan. I'm pleased to be here this morning seeking the approval for Landscape Services Work Programme 2026-27 for the Buchan area. Whilst available resources for 2026-27 provide a more challenging environment for the delivery of some maintenance and activities activities, and in previous years, the service is still continuing to consider opportunities to assist and a predominant move through budget saving mitigation to work with local communities and groups in the delivery and enhancement of some works. Where those groups have the capacity to do so, and as a service we will continue within our resources we have. Just to put some perspective on the groups we're working with, we currently work with Friends of Arden, who are giving 100 hours a week voluntary service, the Men's Shed 75 hours a week voluntary service, and we work with Landale Gardens, we're giving 10 hours a week voluntary service. It's a considerable amount of assistance which helps us increase our level of service. The plan provides a balance between the needs of users who have a variety of interests in their local parks and open spaces, including the enhancement and improvement of areas for biodiversity, and the opportunity that exists to protect and maximise the public pound. As members know, Aberdeenshire Council Pollinator Action Plan aims for at least 10% of public green space to be enhanced and managed for pollinators, and work is ongoing through the green space officers, not only confidently demonstrates that target has been reached, but also advises members when the calculations have been achieved. That's a likelihood there is a likelihood that we will achieve more than 10% of our pollinator targets in the oncoming year. In addition, the council's works programme, the council has been allocated funding from Scottish Government for renewal improvement of play equipment and play parks. There's a couple of appendix on the report that you can see, which is Appendix 1 is the budget for this year for parks, open spaces, country parks and burial grounds, and Appendix 2 shows the comparison of spend throughout the 6 areas of Aberdeenshire. So I'm happy to take any questions you have, members, and thank you for inviting me to make this presentation.
Thank you very much, and you're very welcome. So it's good to hear the community is stepping up and you've got local groups involved. How easy is the process for them to do this?
For general volunteering, coming with hands on grounds, it's easy. They could come to the Arden Country Park and volunteer. We encourage local communities to hoe streets, look after shrub beds. With regards to using machinery, that is a bit more arduous in that they will need to be a recognised group and have insurance and risk assessments, etc. But it's not something that's not been done before. We've been doing this with our pitch users groups. These are volunteers who cut grass in local football pitches and maintain them for a reduced rent. So it's not unheard of, and we are actively working to make it happen.
Thank you very much. Councillor Chapman, please.
Thank you, Chair. There are some chunky numbers in here, and one or two of them kind of stood out to me, and I'll highlight them now.
Yeah.
And the first one was there's £3,500 in here for wildflower planting in Arden. That seems a chunky amount of money to spend on planting wildflowers. So I wonder what area that would cover. To me, you would be doing a couple of acres for that kind of money. The other one that stood out, I think, and yeah, amongst others, and just a couple of them here. The other one, you have top up loose filled clay surfaces, £5,000 to do that. Seems a lot of money. Can you justify how you come to these sums?
Yeah, the bark we use for loose play area surfaces, bark or sand, is very expensive and bulky and has to be bought in. This is why we tend to go for a polymer plastic play surface, as it's although initially more expensive, it doesn't have the maintenance or the ongoing costs, whereas bark and sand does. So there's no getting around it. It has to be replaced annually, and it is expensive, and that's the cost of it. I'll let John come in if he can regards the wildflowers at Arden Country Park, because he will have a more understanding of what's needed there. Are you okay to speak, John?
Absolutely. Good morning, Chair. Good morning, members. So Arden Park, the area of wildflowers, ironically, is probably more than a couple of acres. It is right across the top of the arena, down the side of the arena, and there's a couple of other areas in there for the whole biodiversity. We do, excuse me, there are other areas within the park that we actually have yellow rattle wildflower, and we harvest those each year to be spread on other areas in Buchan area. We've been using it on Giddlebraes for one area, and we tried some at the top of the West Road as well. So we are utilising the wildflowers that we are growing in the park out with as well.
Yeah. Can I add that wildflower seed is really expensive? It's usually about £1,000 a kilogram. So you don't get a lot for your money, but its biological benefits to the environment are worth it.
Yeah, well, okay, I can understand that. Is this an annual cost then, or does the wildflowers, once it's established, they come year after year, so that you don't have to go and do this again in another year's time? Is that correct?
At Arden, it depends on the wildflowers themselves. Often, one of the areas that we've got yellow rattle established, that needs no more maintenance to it apart from harvesting the seeds. The other areas, often grass will encroach, so it is maybe every 4 or 5 years it may have to be started again because it just gets smothered out with the more vigorous grass growth.
Can I add to John's comments that all of our natural environment areas have to be managed, and part of that is wild grassland management or wild meadow management. As John said, the wildflower seed does need repel energy and the grass controlling, and that is part of why they use yellow rattle, as it parasitizes the grass and stunts its growth, enabling the more biodiverse plants to take over. John's also actively collecting wildflower seed to reduce the bill year on year for the wildflower sowing. If we didn't manage it, we would end up with native woodland everywhere or scrub. So all environments within the UK are man-managed, no matter how pretty they look or natural, and the ones that aren't are generally woodland and scrub.
Okay, thank you very much.
Councillor Atkinson, please.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Oliver and John, for the report. I hope you'll bear with me for a moment because I want to tell you a story. It was really good to hear about you working with community groups, But I also think we need to be working with individuals in our communities. I have a constituent who came to me recently who had been planting wildflowers on the verge outside his house and alongside. And 2 years ago, the council came and weed killed said verge. He then put up signs saying wildflowers on the lamppost beside the verge. And this year, his wildflowers have been trimmed and taken down. Now, I would have found that, I find that quite difficult to accept that we as a council would come along and do that when someone is actually trying to increase the biodiversity, increase the pollination and work alongside us to make the community better. So I wondered what your comments on that are, please. And then I have another question, Chair, if I may.
Rush. Either gentleman, would you like to come back on that one? If you're
Yes,
aware of it?
Chair, I would. I'm not aware of this, but John may enlighten you. I can only say that if it was a highway verge, then the local the farmers who cut the highway verge on behalf of the council may have cut it, and the communication may have not been communicated, shall we say, between highways and the person and the contractor. Other than that, it could have been a farmer who cuts his own verges out with the council contracts, to which they're quite entitled to do. I'm not aware of that because it was before I came into post. But John, can you enlighten councillors on that?
Unfortunately, I can't. This is the first time I'm hearing about it. If Councillor Simpson would like to get the gentleman to make contact with me, and I can certainly meet him on site and we can discuss going forward how we can protect his
Thank you,
area
John.
if he wants to do the same.
That's perfect. Thank you so much. I will do that.
Okay, thank you.
My second point is about the weed killer use. In Mint Law, there's been a lot of weed killer use at the edge of where the grass comes to a pavement, about a foot in, so it's yellow, presumed to help with the edging after the top has been cut. But the weeds that are at the other side of the pavement are just being left. And I don't understand why that would be the case. If you're out weed killing, do not do both at the same time. Thank you.
I'm thinking you're talking about either side of the curb, either side of the pavement, one on the grass side, one on the road side. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. The grass side of the pavement belongs to Landscape Services. The road curb edge belongs to the roads department. We only have a certain budget to be able to spray weeds, as you're probably all aware. I would surmise that this curb, which on whichever road it is, isn't part of the amount of weed spraying we can do.
It's all roads.
No, it's not. It's not roads. Again, I think we need to take this off the table. I'm sitting beside the area manager, and I quite frankly find that appalling. I understand exactly where you're coming from, but it's at one council, one Aberdeenshire, and it's one budget. And it's how we actually make the place. It makes sense to me if you've got somebody out weed killing on one side of a curb, that they do the other bit at the same time. Thank you.
While we're on weeds, then when's Peterhead getting sprayed? If this is the right forum, or if is that roads, is that landscape?
It sounds like it's roads.
That is landscapes under the roads contract. They get us to do that. We have started yesterday.
Okay, thank you very much. Councillor Simpson, your hand is still up.
No, sorry, take it down before I explode.
We'll move on, Councillor Simpson. Members, anything further for Ollie and John? See no indications, gentlemen. Sure you can feed back Councillor Simpson's views, and we are pleased to hear that Peterhead has started, especially considering we've quite a big event happening in the town very soon, and it would be appreciated if some consideration could be given to town centre. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Councillor.
Just to add in, Chair, about just to follow up, is that I'm in contact with We Are Peterhead, and they are wanting to come out and do some extra scraping of the town centre and things. So that should help as well.
Thank you very much. That proposal will be going forward, I am sure, to the board. So thank you both very much for your report. The committee has recommended to 1.2.1 approve the proposals for allocated revenue budget as detailed in Appendix 1 within the Buchan area for landscape services and bereavement services. Thank you both very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So we'll move to item 9, update Peterhead projects. Can I welcome Amanda Rowe, Area Manager, to present this report, please?
Thank you, Chair. This report provides a regular update that was requested by the committee on key Aberdeenshire Council-led facilitated projects at Peterhead, and it has a particular focus on the community campus and the cultural quarter. One of the reasons you get this report is it reflects the committee's wish to have that clear public and regular oversight of major activity in the town. Peterhead is seeing significant level of investment and change, and it is important that members, communities and partners are seeing how these are progressing and where key decisions have been made. In relation to the community campus, I probably don't need to tell committee that the key point to note is construction is now underway at Kinmundy, and the first site progress meeting has taken place, and the report sets out some of the key main milestones, which includes the core path diversion. There will be foundations later this year, and the steel work should be in by, I think, December of this year. And you had been given the date when you had your informed session that occupation is still absolutely on for the August 2028. The report is also highlighting the community benefits package that is linked to the construction programme, and you'll see from the report that includes apprenticeships, graduate placements, there's work experience, and there are wider social value commitments in there. There has been a recent public engagement drop-in session. It had some steady attendance over the evening, and response to the facility itself was really positive, but the lived experience in relation to the local roads access does remain a concern to those that live up and around the campus. Members have received recent updates on active travel routes to and from the campus. There is now school street safety scheme at Buchanhaven. So there is works ongoing to try and improve that kind of cultural shift to active travel and access to our school estate, and those discussions and activities will continue. Committee has also recently had a focus session on the early feasibility work around Site 2, and again that work will continue with officers, and they will come back after summer with further updates, and there will be stakeholder groups associated with that. Members also considered a report earlier this month that confirmed the investment in the existing primary school and Anna Ritchie school buildings, and you are due to get further updates after summer recess. But I do hope the reports in the sessions help to show that the campus project is not just about that new building itself, but it is looking at that wider education, community and leisure offer in our town. In relation to the cultural quarter, again, committee will be aware the museum and library project at Arbuthnot House has moved into construction phase, and chat group has been appointed. Construction traffic management is now in place, and of course the model of the new museum and library is on display in the service point at Buchan House. Members have been briefed that a local stakeholder group has been established, and the first meeting is expected in July, and that will help gather local views, provide timely updates, and identify any wider opportunities from the project. Clearly, members will continue to be briefed regularly on the quarter, and will receive details of them from those stakeholder meetings. The report provides an update on the fit-out element of the museum that's been progressed as a separate but coordinated work stream. And there's work ongoing around the collections, engagement and heritage activity. There is further work progressing on the naming of the museum, and as a report expected to go council after summer recess. A report on the workshop that members participated in a couple of months ago will be circulated to you shortly, and that summarises the presentations, your discussions and the pressure testing of the various names proposed. And finally, the report continues to acknowledge the position on the Carnegie building. That decision not to progress with the planned refurbishment is clearly disappointing, but officers are developing approaches to work at pace with partners and stakeholders to identify further funding opportunities and a continued role for the building in the town. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Amanda. Members, open up for discussion, please. Have any further comments or questions? I think Amanda's report was very comprehensive. It covered the key headliners in it. It's encouraging that we are getting started with community engagement. It's encouraging that the projects are now underway. So anything further to add, members? No, and Amanda, we will continue to get regular updates through recess, please.
Yes.
Thank you very much. So the recommendation, the committee is recommended to 1.2.1, acknowledge the current update on the delivery of Peterhead Community Campus. 1.2.2, acknowledge the current update in relation to the Peterhead Cultural Quarter. Thank you very much. Item 10, scrutiny and improvement. Can I welcome Amanda Rowe again, Area Manager, to present this report, please? Thank you, Amanda.
Thanks, Chair. So I'm pleased to introduce this annual scrutiny and improvement report. It's an opportunity for you as a committee to reflect on the past year, but it recognises the important role the committee plays in strengthening how the council delivers for our communities. Hopefully you get from the report that scrutiny is not standalone. It's part of our good governance, it's part of continuous improvement, and it's part of our public accountability. And I think the committee demonstrates that consistently it is doing that. There's the breadth of issues that you have clearly engaged with over the year, and the questioning and the deep diving that you do as part of that. So you have undertaken a significant level of scrutiny and improvement. You've looked at performance information, service delivery updates, and cross-cutting themes such as the financial pressures, workforce, demand on services. As I've said earlier, you don't tend to just listen, you constructively are testing what is put in front of you, and that helps seek those better outcomes. So some of the areas where you've particularly looked at your scrutiny and improvement sort of role is around that service performance. Alan did get away quite easily on his last one, but then it was all green. But you generally do drill down beyond what you see, and you talk about what the trends and impacts are. You follow up on recommendations through things like the outstanding statement of business. So you make sure that the things that we as officers say we will do, we are doing, and that there's that clear accountability for delivery. You engage with our improvement activity, and clearly there is that focus for communities on the way you are delivering your work. So particularly looking at the way services are inclusive and responsive. I think members probably understand that the scrutiny doesn't necessarily result in immediate change, but over time it is building that culture of challenge and improvement across the organisation. So you have undertaken stage 1 scrutiny, where you've not taken that forward, but those comments and what you have heard and discussed in that is then pushed forward into the policy committee, where policies are scrutinised every 5 years. The report is also trying to reflect on where, as a committee, the approach could be strengthened. So where that scrutiny remains focused on areas of greatest risk and impact, how you use data and insight to inform your discussions and decisions. So you are asked to identify now or over the coming months where you would like to undertake further scrutiny, and that would be in line with the scheme of governance, which gives all the different mechanisms open to you as a committee for undertaking your scrutiny role. But I hope you take this as a positive report. It demonstrates that you actively do undertake your scrutiny and improvement duties, and you do it in a way that hopefully supports assurance and improvement. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. So members will open it for discussion, and we're also asked to submit any topics that might be included in the proposed programme of scrutiny activity for 25-26. Councillor Anne Simpson, please.
I just wanted to thank Amanda for the report. I think when you're in the midst of this, as the year goes on, you actually forget how much it is we've actually managed to take a look at. And as you say, in depth, Alan did get off easily today, but he hasn't always in the past when there's things I felt we should scrutinise. So I've no real questions, I've no topics either, I'm afraid, but I just wanted to thank you for putting that report together. I find it really quite gratifying. Sometimes we forget how much we've actually done. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Simpson. Councillor Powell.
I know, I concur as well. I'm just going to suppose ask for maybe a little bit of support on maybe member promoted interest, because we haven't done any. But for me, there's a reason why I haven't done ones. I don't understand them fully, but I think I have plenty of topics that I could bring forward one. So I don't know if that's a give us training or support on, or us to look elsewhere, but it might be a reason there's none at the moment. I don't know.
Through you, Chair, I mean, it might be something that Fiona wants to come in as well, because it is clearly one of the key tools at your disposal. There is a member officer working group currently underway looking at member promoted issues as well. I think recognising that where they have been used in the past, and you're right, this committee and councillors sitting around this table don't generally use them, but we have seen them used in other committee settings. And one of the things that had been flagged is they can take an inordinately long time. And that's because we sometimes get a bit tripped up in some of our processes. And I think that that's why we don't always see them coming through the way we might like. But Fiona, could you maybe come in and talk about the process a bit?
I'm not familiar with the process in terms of the scheme of governance, because I've never actually had to deal one with myself either. But I was going to confirm that there's a member officer working group, and I would certainly be very happy if the committee want to learn more to attend an informal session. It gives me an opportunity for some learning, and I can pass on the experience of my colleagues to the committee to further inform you of the processes, whether you want to wait until the outcome of the officer working group, or whether you want me to talk you through that on the basis of what's currently provided for in the scheme of governance. I'd be more than happy to arrange that for you.
Thank you very much, Fiona.
I don't know when the member of the working group will report back.
Through you, Chair. I'm part of that member officer working group, and I'm not sure at the moment either. So more than happy that we work to look at perhaps doing something. Clearly, we will have another member around our table at the end of the month. So perhaps it would be a good session to hold with all of the members post recess.
Yep, that's an action. Thank you very much. Councillor Smith, please.
Thanks, Chair. Just to record my thanks for the report as well. Highlights the amount of work done informally by the Buchan area. I just wanted to check if the table at the bottom of page 66, the second column in, the figures seem to be in inverse proportion to all the other figures. I just wondered if there was a typo there. Thank you, Chair.
Just look it up.
Are you, Chair? Councillor Smith, are you looking at, is it on page 66?
At page 66, it's the second, it's a table at the bottom, the second column in from the left. Because the figures seem so vastly different from everyone else on the committee. I wondered if there was a typo.
In terms of the informal business?
Yes.
No, I don't think there is an error there. I think it's probably reflecting that informal sessions are something that members have got that ability to take on should they wish. We absolutely understand as officers that members have a lot going on. They will have employment, they will have caring duties, they will have other commitments. So we understand that our informal business won't be attended by all councillors. I think wherever we can, we will record those sessions, and if people then pick up those sessions, we won't necessarily know that. And we have been discussing whether or not there are ways perhaps we use our other options to ensure that members get the best out of those sessions if they are unable to attend for whatever reason. So we will keep working on that so that councillors all get the benefit from it.
Thank you very much. I see no further indications. So the recommendation is 1.2. The committee is recommended to 1.2.1. Consider a comment on the activities details in the report. And 1.2.2. Submit any topics that might be included in the proposed programme of scrutiny activity for 25-26. And I'm sure Teresa will accept any ones that come to mind after the meeting. Thank you very much. I can confirm that the public section of this meeting has now concluded. Thank you for your interest. Members of the committee will now go on to consider exempt business and private. Can we stop the recording, please?